out here for you. You don't know what it's like to be me out here for you.
We choose truth over facts.
Never go full retard. Come on, man.
How are you, team? How you going? It is Kaz from In the Trenches with Kaz. I'll see you there, Simon. Great to have you here, mate. He's got a lot of common sense, that fella. You know, a lot of empathy too. Yeah. Guys and gals, it's great to be here with you on a Monday. A Monday you only get once in your life. You're choosing to be fantastic. Great. Bring some common sense, some critical thinking, and leave the judgments at home. This is an adult conversation. This is in response to a stream that happened a few days ago with Mr. Macaroni, yesterday actually. And this is just a counter of some of the anger that's happening for the administration team. I believe the only administration team in the world that is trying to garner peace from the Ukraine situation, but is getting flack for it. And I absolutely do not understand. We're going to talk about that tonight. Let's get through the preliminaries first as we start to say good day to you all. And that is a call out to the legends, the Patreons, that keep this channel rolling along. To Stevie Bryce, we've got some catastrophic news there. I had a message from Liam, his son, who was really doing it hard at the moment. It looks like Stevie over in WA, former senior NCO of the Royal Australian Regiment, he's doing it really bad in hospital, and he may not make it through. He's got a great place, but he's really, getting some hard invitations from the angels to relax and just go with it. We've also, on the last stream, Stagey lost his father, and him for an hour after the stream, and he's decided instead of going back to the funeral, he's going to continue his training at the School of Infantry. And we had a good discussion about that. And that's a tough one to have with people. It really is when you're a senior NCO or section commander with the soldier. Are you doing it for yourself? Are you going home to see family? It's not about you. When you're the patriarch, the man of the family, the time is to stand up for those that will be suffering. If there is people suffering, and sometimes go so you can be there for your grandmother, your mother, to be there for your sisters, etc. And show representation that the new head of the clan is at the head of the table. So prayers to him. We're also down here that this topic that you've probably seen already, Zelensky and Trump going at it in the Oval Office a few days ago. And tonight is to give you some clarification as we have a conversation, put some scaffolding around this topic so that you're not necessarily listening to just bias, of the never Trumpers, etc. And I'm going to give some understanding, some symbology, and a little bit of a geographical lesson here, so you understand what we're looking at and how this can affect you. Right, we've got some videos here. We know that it goes mental every time we try to put a video on. So let's see how we go. G'day, Dominic. How you going, mate? Nice name. Jennifer. Great to see you here, Northern Lass. We've got Adam here. He was the first one here tonight. Sledgehammer. We also know two Commando are known as the Sledgehammer. We've got Ethan Coates, awesome mate, and wait till Kaz is happy to jump in the conversation because he wants to hear. Who are we talking about here? What do we got? No, it's okay, Simon. It's okay, man. Finished work and now currently doing my 10,000 steps. That's the way to do it. 10,000 a day. We've got the Bowerbird here. G'day from Coffs, one of my favourite places. I know a lot of people at Coffs Harbour. I did my defence interview, medical and psych, last Wednesday. I have to get past all of my TATs yet, plus other doctor reports. I need to track down from a closed doctor's practice. Yeah, man. I think I know who I'm talking to. It can be a difficult one. It really can. It can be. Guys and gals, we've got a whole bunch of questions and stuff we will need to ask here. We've done the call out to our soldiers, everyone from the School of Infantry and those across the world, ex-soldiers, future soldiers, etc. But most of all, this one is the soldiers that have been let down. Now, what do I mean by that? And I'm probably jumping a little bit ahead of myself here. When Zelensky came to America for the meeting on Friday that went horribly awry, you've probably seen it, Let us know in comments what you think about all this. What we saw was what was meant to be a choreographed, basically, photo opportunity for Mr. Zelensky, President Zelensky, to come over, get asked a couple of questions, Trump a couple of questions, JD Vance maybe, Secretary of State, a few questions, Secretary of Defense, and then some photos, and then a beautiful meal on the taxpayers' expense. It went to shit. It went to shit. And there's a few reasons why. I believe that the question that was asked by the press, one of the reporters, a suit, don't you own one, etc. I don't know if he knew Zelensky's stance on why he doesn't wear a suit, on the fact that while ever the war is on, he's going to wear this as a sign of being a conflict president, that he's actually in a state of war, and he'll put the suit back and meet decorum, which is expected in the Oval Office once the war is over. Well, I believe that put him as a short man. Never trust a short man, they get angry quickly. Well, I believe that he got his ass in a knot there and he started getting angry. But he also came in and tried to get sound bites of Donald Trump to try and force him to say something about Putin. Now, all of that conversation was meant to happen outside before they went in. This is a choreographed situation that happens all the time. And the reason why you don't see the politics behind all this is because it's not normally done. It's meant to be a formality. Now, one of the things that really makes me angry is that if Zelensky really did care about his soldiers that are dying in the trenches, along with Russian conscripts as well, he had the opportunity to do that, 5 days at least earlier. And I don't understand why he didn't. He could have done it remotely, but he insisted on coming to the USA to do it face to face. Now, I don't know whether he intended on making a stunt or why he wanted to do that, but that means that every soldier that has died in the last week, and there'd be thousands, were avoidable, but their president decided to come over, take his time to get there and come into the open and then be a dick. Those soldiers, I don't doubt, were potentially on their knees praying and watching this live over Starlink from their trenches thinking, I really, really hope that this goes well. And I guarantee their mothers were thinking it too. Now, he could have signed that remotely, but he turns up with a dossier of information to force Donald Trump to say something bad about Vladimir Putin. Now, that's not what he's there to do. Remember, when he gets off this photo opportunity, which was meant to be a signing of a paper that created a ceasefire by showing that America now has physical interest on the ground to recuperate $500 billion, 350 that they'd given to Ukraine and some GST with mineral rights. What that would have created was a ceasefire because there'd be interest on the ground, and you're not talking about Biden, you're not talking about Obama, you're now talking about Donald Trump. You know, he has open dialogue with Putin, and I believe that he would have had a conversation 10 minutes later to say the papers are signed. Now, I don't know what sort of conversation happens between Putin and what happens with Donald Trump. I don't know. I don't know whether there's yelling there as well. There may be. Is he more biased towards Putin? Is there things that he knows about Zelensky that he doesn't like, that he can't talk about? You know, that information and that argument didn't start until JD Vance, started to call him up for what he was doing in the Oval Office. And then the president backed up his vice president. And then it went to shit from there when Mr. Zelensky, his people are dying. His country is on fire. His job is to come there and secure that ceasefire. He wanted instead a guarantee of the ceasefire. There can be no guarantees when you're dealing with someone like Putin. But he is the fucking only world leader using the words peace. And he is the only one that is getting attacked. And I don't know why. I don't know why. Is it ignorance You know, is it never hating? Is it the always hated Trumps? I don't know. But you know what? I can forgive someone that they're on the ball with what they're talking about. Okay. Trump says the security guarantee will be Americans working on the land. Nobody's going to be messing around with our people when we were there, especially if they're on a buffer between Russian and Ukrainian forces. What else did he want? This was meant to be a remote resource deal for $500 billion, which would ultimately create an organic ceasefire from the moment that it was signed. Okay. Why is Trump the bad guy in this? Because he yelled? Okay. Why would he yell? Why is Trump angry? Well, I goddamn know why. Because he knows that soldiers are dying. The only before he got elected, and now that he's elected, is I want the dying to stop. He wants the Ukrainian dying to stop. He wants the Russian dying to stop. That's what he wants. He hasn't been talking about money. He hasn't been talking about exploitation. He hasn't been talking about war. He's been talking about peace through strength. And when people attack him, I'm thinking, what are you talking about? Are you watching the same thing as me? Is it because you've never seen dead people? Is it because you've never smelt war that you don't realize who you're fucking with? There is real people on the trend from both sides who are doing it just as bad as World War I. Right. I believe now that conscription is the main way reinforcements are coming for the Ukrainian men in the trenches. That's a sign you either don't believe in your leadership or you know the war is over. To defend that country anymore. The fight is over. It might be the 8th round, 9th round, 10th round, championship rounds in the boxing match, and you're getting told by your corner coach, yeah, you're winning this, when your face is busted up and you've got someone saying, hey man, throw in the fucking towel, saying no and getting angry at the person that's giving you advice, the doctor that is telling you that the game is over, the match is over, and you're the last one to know about it. Fuck that coach. And that coach is Zelensky. Yeah. Anyway, team, let's have a look at this say here, and then I'll listen to you guys a bit more. I would love it if they spoke to the actual soldiers on the ground and went in there with a media team. But this is something you probably don't know too. There is 100% media block in Ukraine against people, the approved message for their media. You know, I'd love to ask the gallant soldiers on the ground, the patriots who are fighting, who are trying to protect, do you want to keep fighting or do you want this to end? Because overall, shouldn't they be the ones that get to decide? The ones that have been fighting, dying, PTSD, missing parts of their bodies, including their souls, wondering, is there any home to go home to? And when it's over, let's have a look what happens here, and I'll get back to your questions.
A war leader being berated by the man who's meant to be the leader of the free world. So what did you say to
look,
Donald
nobody
Trump?
wants to see that. Clearly, there's a lot of tension.
This is the Prime Minister at the moment who's speaking, and he's trying to encourage Zelensky at the moment, but also, he's telling basically on the side of keep fighting, and now he wants Zelensky to come back and talk to Trump. So it's like he knows that Trump is the answer, but they just don't want to admit it.
Cameras were on. Nobody wants to see that. But I spoke to President Trump. I spoke to President Zelensky. Obviously, we then had President Zelensky to Downing Street yesterday, and I spoke to President Macron after that, and then to President Trump. And the purpose, or my driving purpose, has been to bridge this, if you like, and get us back to the central.
Okay, is absolute dog shit. I'm not going to kill your ears with that one. I'm going to have to make some standalone videos here. While that's going on, what I'll do is I'll give you a look at this. This is the Dnipro River that you can see in the large blue, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, Cryptic Aussie. Love the boat. Needed some wise words. Seb, P.S. the Navy's gay. Okay, this is a valuable one. Old Seb went to his recruiting today, went in there, had done all the research, buyer beware on IETs, etc., and didn't realize that he hadn't got his homework aligned. He spoke to the recruiters about Kapuka, and they ultimately said, come back in 8 weeks, get your script together, drop the attitude, come in, and let's start again. Fantastic. Seb, great conversation. And I hate to tell you, but I had an even better conversation the day before with a legend named Jay. I swear to God, I've changed his life. And I think I've made a good friend as well. And we just had a bloke named James who signed on to the Patreon just as we were getting ready to go live today. So he's on the bat phone. You can join that. The link is in the remarks below. And I think he said he's lost 38 or 48 kilos. His pursuit of joining the military has actually put his life back into, a logical order. And for that, I commend him. Very, very honest, just like almost everyone that comes to the channel. Join up today. Speak with me tomorrow. That's the logo. Blake, hi, Kaz. We spoke privately about my concerns with Trump. I was never against him, his proposed policies. The way he spoke to Zelensky made me never have more respect for him. That's fantastic to hear, Blake, because one of the things that we have to be very, very scared of is that we're being lied to. And what we saw then, I think, was organic anger from people who had every right to be angry, knowing there is actually people dying because of this result. And if he had signed it 5 days earlier and not get his knickers in a knot, how many thousand people is there that would be alive today if he'd done it remotely like he should have? He's got blood on his hands. Pissed me off. Leo, there is a site on Google called Deep Star Map that shows the front lines and others. And right now, if you're interested in that, Kaz, I absolutely would be. This is the, I'll go into Google Maps in a second to show you. This river that you can see that is on the 2/3 to the east in the yellow, that's the Dnipro River. Below that, what you can see is that piece of land that juts out the peninsula that goes out into the Black Sea. Now, that got taken by in 2014, and that was to give him access to the Black Sea, trade in there, etc. And if you look a little bit to the west of that, there's a place called Odessa, which used to be a holiday town, a fantastic place, etc. It's absolutely stunning. Now, I believe that he'd like to have that too, but he may not have it. Now, for me, it might be an absolute deal breaker when you look at his up there to about 9/10 of the way up the Dnipro River in the blue. That's the capital of Kiev, of actually the Ukraine. And remember, Ukraine is the second biggest country in Europe. So if they decide that Russia is going to be a treaty where they stay on the right-hand side with the Donbas regions, as well as everything to the natural border, which is the Dnipro River, that's a lot of Ukraine lost, but if in turn you got 100-year treaty, right? You had Americans on the ground, BlackRock, that's good for business, and there's going to be a piece there. I don't know. You'd have to ask the people on the ground, are they sick of fighting, or do they have the fight left in them? They're very gallant men, very gallant. Hit the like button if you can. I don't know if it makes any difference to him. What is the Dnipro? What does it look like in? So you understand how big it is. Let's have a look. One sec. What is it? Let's have a look. We're going to present the Dnipro River. Let's have a look. Google it. There we are. Okay. So if you look at that now, the Dnipro River, it is massive, impassable in most areas, and where it's not, the engineers can do a fantastic job to canalize and make sure that they can actually restrict, movement in that area. But Ukraine is massive, team, massive. You're not getting across there without bridges or without being viewed, and it makes it a natural boundary that would be fantastic to keep Russia on one side. And it almost comes down to, are you ready to move from your traditional lands? Would I be willing to? No. But you know what? I would have been dead by now if this had been a conflict for Australia. You know, I probably would have gone out fairly quickly, to tell you the truth. But if they're willing to keep fighting, then how can you hold that against them, you know? How can you hold it against them? Now, we can't look at that. You've probably been hearing just an attack continually going on against Donald Trump in this at the moment. You know, I don't know where it's coming from, because what I saw him do was respond as a man that cares for humanity. He said over and over and over again, you are gambling with World War III. And he is. Zelensky is not trying to seek peace. As a matter of fact, he actually basically said he doesn't want, he's not pursuing a ceasefire. It doesn't matter if a previous administration, you know, had a fall down of, what would we say, had a fall down of negotiations or didn't even try with him in the past, and those ceasefires were broken. This is a new dude on the block, and they need to give Trump every chance to break here. And he's one of the few people that has a dialogue with Vladimir Putin, and that is more important than judging him and thinking, are you friends with him? I don't think he's friends with him. You know, he's spoken to him, but there must be respect. And everyone knows that with a population of Ukraine that is 38 million, I reckon you could take 10 million off that. It's going to be down to under 30, not because they've been taken out, but because they've left the country. You know, the majority of fucking females, you know, there wouldn't be too many on the, I wouldn't believe, on the east side of the Dnipro. And then you've got 143 million in Russia. And this is the way they've always fought. This is why they've always fought. This is their playbook, and they can keep going for years. Is it hurting them? Absolutely. You know, are we on their side? Are they being hurt through the tariffs? No, they're not. They're essential for the oil, for the exports that are required for China, you know, and some of the other countries of the BRICS nations that are still accepting Russian product. They're doing okay. Forget it. Russia is taking Odessa and before this ends. What's left of Ukraine will be landlocked shadow of its former self. Nathan, I absolutely believe in you. Agree with you there. And it's sad. It really is. I'm not saying that this is a good thing, team. I'm not. Don't get this wrong. You know, my heart goes out to the men in the mud in the Ukraine and to the mothers of those soldiers. Why did Albo send 3 frigates to check them out? I'm not sure what that one's about. Jared, do you think that the US aid to Ukraine will stop over the next few weeks? It's completely stopped already. Jared, it's been turned off. It came out today. All aid is currently stopped because Zelensky, who is in power, can't even tell you where half that money even is, 50 billion. He can't even tell you where the money went. So if he can't tell you what's happening with the money, what the hell? Mate, do you watch Willie OAM? I don't. I should. You know, I believe he's the best channel for talking about the Ukraine. Willie OAM, Royal Australian Regiment member as well. You know, he's been doing a fantastic job. You know, for someone that's not a qualified, it is incredible what he actually does online. Hats off to him. Absolutely. And he's a sick boy himself. You know, what he does is next level. Mate, do you watch Willie OAM, the incredible daily analysis in Ukraine? He's an ex-Afghan digger, has a great point on everything he does. Could not compete it, could not try to replicate it. What he does is fantastic. And he's got a better, a lot better connection as far as the internet goes. Eros, watch the Europeans suddenly start working on a plan for peace and take the credit for pursuing peace instead of allowing the US administration. Ero, I agree, but they've had 3 years now, so he's going to look fake as fuck. You know, he's going to look so goddamn fake. Crypto Aussie, thank you for the dineros too, by the way, man. You know, as we know, this the sesterces go to his financial future. I've got Crohn's disease. It's been really, really bad. It's nearly taken me down a few times in the last couple of years. I don't know how long I've got. My legs already look like someone that's lost their fight. But I want to put her in a good spot. You know, so I appreciate that. And for those out there with crypto, we've seen it bounce back at your nerve. I hope it pays off for you. Meso, g'day, mate. How you going? Only been a month, says Adam. I'm not sure what that one's about. Crypto. He said he's got brain cancer. The poor bloke's losing it. They did scans and can't find his brain. Fuck. Mate, that's what I love, the dark humour of military, you know. Fake or not, the schmucks in power will justify anything their masters do, so long as they get the first, loudest, and last say in. They won't care if it's fake or not. Arrow, you are absolutely true there, and that's why I get so nervous about the news, because I know that whenever a journalist ever has come up to me, operations, whether it be in Australia or overseas, you always know, and we get warned about media, that there's two stories. They're going to make you look like a hero today, and they're going to make you look like a villain tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave the name out, but we've got someone who's just arrived at Singleton School of Infantry. This is his first day there. Squaring my stuff away and waiting for staying in holding or going into session. If you have a moment in the next 10 to 15, I'd love to chat. Yes, I will. He mustn't realise I'm on stream at the moment. But he will do a BFA this Thursday and do a BFD, Basic Fitness Diagnostic. And if he fails that, he'll be going to 6 weeks in purgatory, getting hard training with the PDIs, you know, with the lobsters. And if he might be considered on the list now for the start of a session, whether it be long Tam platoon, whether it be Borneo platoon, whatever it may be. Okay. Right, and we've got a new Patreon member who's just sent us a message. I've sent him the number, and he doesn't realise we're online at the moment. Dwayne, I tried to find a message for you today. I was going to give you a call, but I can't find your phone. I don't know what I've put your name under. You know, Jungle Carbs or something like that. I don't know. Dwayne, hello, Mr. Casentine. Wouldn't it be great if we had world peace? I'm a realist. I know it will never happen. It's not in human nature, man. It's not in human nature. And the fact that people are angry at Donald Trump is proof. People are angry at Donald Trump for loving his country, for trying to make his country great again, for getting rid of the bureaucratic right in his country. The machine is turning on him. Yep. All from the people that can't even tell you what a woman is. Drag your mates, Corporal, says Adam. I don't know what that means. Leo, live your map would be a better site to visit because it's more accurate and less bias. Yeah, I was just looking at a river, mate. Wait a sec. I'm going to take a photo of that so I know to look it up in a minute, but wait 2 seconds, team. Oops. Bam. Okay, screenshot taken. Ready. Kaz, look into the Starmer's plan to lift Chago's archipelago to Mauritius. I haven't even heard about that yet. I know that Starmer's not real happy about pursuing a ceasefire. Meso, Trump treated Zelensky like shit. I totally understand what Trump was trying to say, but still he didn't deserve that. Mate, Meso, I believe that what Zelensky was trying to do was a real rat move, what he did. All of that conversation, everything was agreed on outside that office. That was meant to be a photo opportunity only. And was told by his own people before he went into that office, don't fuck around. You're not dealing with Biden anymore. You know, go in there, do your job, have a sandwich, get a photo, go back home. You know, with great news for those in the trenches. And let's hope that Donald Trump now puts the fire to the feet of Putin. He never said anything until Zelensky started going down into the deep water and trying to bring out photos of prisoners. All of this shit that did not have to be a circus on national TV. He deliberately chose that moment to flip the script, and then he fucked around and he found out. And now he's got to swallow his pride and come back and say, I want peace. Because ultimately, he end up getting told that what's going to happen is if you don't go for this, if you don't want to give us the money that we've given you back, because everyone in Europe gave you a loan, we gave you a grant, all we want you to do is give us back the 500 billion that we'll come and take out of the ground ourselves, and you get a sandwich as well. But that was too much. He tried to make that moment. Jason Clark, Starmer is a beta male. He absolutely is. Absolutely is. Here's an interesting point for you. Did you know in France it's illegal to get a DNA test for your child to make sure that you're the father? Dwayne says, I try and be as nice as I can. And Simon, yes, so do I. Yep, Europe is very woke, mate, but only on the outside. They're not letting these people that they treat like gods into their mansions. Yeah, I wish that we heard people talk to our country. We've got the potential to have the most amount of energy almost for free in our country, but no, we don't have it. More for our power, nearly twice as much as what US does, almost twice as much for our petrol and our diesel as what they pay, and no one can tell you why. The is not the answer. It should be nuclear. If hydro works and it's not too expensive, Twiggy Forrester, okay, it should be electric. It should be fossil fuels. It should be a bit of everything together. Bring the prices down, choose. We have stamp duties on cars to protect our car building status in Australia, yet we don't build any cars in Australia. So why are we paying the stamp duty on imported cars to protect the car industry of Australia of Holden? Doesn't make sense. When Mr. Albanese, made the call to do the yes vote, that should have been on the proviso that if it does not get over, hold me so, then I'll step down. He didn't. $400 million of Australian money gone. Guys and gals, whatever happened in that meeting, it was.
What's your message for them?
Engaging in diplomacy, that's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
This is where it started to go to shit.
Our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So he signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it.
So this is
what kind
all
of
fine.
diplomacy, JD, you are speaking? A lot of questions. Let's start.
And remember that Zelensky also said, I'm not pursuing a ceasefire. And this is his own country. I don't understand what's going on. I need to go and look at Willie OAM and see what his thoughts are on this. Because at the moment, I think the only person that truly loves their own country seems to be Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, former Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard, former Democrat. Jr., former Democrat. Elon Musk, former Democrat, affiliated. Remember how much Zelensky needs Donald Trump and the USA. They need their money. They wish they had their army there. They want that deal to put US on them. But who they almost need the most is Elon Musk. Because if Elon Musk shut down Starlink above Ukraine, it'd be over. The satellites, communications, the drones, all of that would be done. And so would Ukraine. So J.D. Vance did what he was supposed to, step in front of his boss to protect him. Well, he was the one that started speaking first. And then Donald Trump actually said no. And I reckon the reason, Simon, the only reason that JD stepped in and started getting angry was because this deal had already been sorted a week ago. This was a procedure that went off the rails when Zelensky came in, started rolling his fucking eyes, started harumphing, talking under his breath in Ukrainian, Again, that would be considered insubordination in the army. Now, this guy is a sovereign state leader, so I get it. He can communicate how he wants to, and he's also in the land of the free. I get that too. But when you are biting the hand that is actively feeding you that you need, in front of the world, showing that disrespect, folding your arms, etc., then it doesn't look good. Eris, humor me for a second, but what are the main arguments for Zelensky's approach? Zelensky, I believe he's part of a deep state situation, because of all the situations that happened with Biden and Hunter Biden and Clintons and all that sort of shit in the Ukraine before the war started. Now, he's got very, very rich out of this. He's an authoritarian. He's disallowed elections to happen since he's been in. He's conscripting and press ganging people that don't want to fight and forcing them to fight. I don't know why he doesn't want the peace. He doesn't trust Putin, and he probably can't trust Putin. I don't trust Putin. But in saying that, you've got a new sheriff on the block with Donald Trump, and I believe that this would have caused a passive ceasefire organically straight away and made people say, hey, no advances from both sides, hold off, let's see what happens next, with a conversation that would have happened an hour after this if it had signed and gone properly, with Donald Trump and Putin saying it is signed. And I can tell you now, he would have definitely been watching this play out with Putin. Yep. Hear me for a second, but what are the main arguments for Zelensky's approach? I think it was just emotional, mate, to tell you the truth. More concerning is we are paying for more death. Absolutely, Adam. Zelensky doesn't trust Putin will honor a ceasefire deal, but that's self-gratification, isn't it? That's saying, I'm going to kill myself because I think I might get killed in this war. What? But that guarantees you're going to be dead. Yeah. Yep. You've got to give him a chance until he doesn't. And then remember that if he said yes to this ceasefire and this mineral deal that would have caused that ceasefire, and it had been a signatory with Putin on it, when Putin breaks it, if he breaks it now, he's got a problem with not NATO, but the USA main. This is why he's saying to Zelensky, you are gambling with World War III. You are gambling with your own people's lives. The solution, I believe it's time for Zelensky, step down. Don't get on a plane. You have too many secrets. He's a dead man walking. The Ukrainians probably want him dead. The people that are his opposition. Russia does. The people that were in the previous US cabinet probably want him gone as well. He knows all the secrets. You don't want to be playing a game of cards, team, the house of cards, and be the guy left with all the secrets. It doesn't end well for you. Blake Smith, I don't think he wants the peace because he will be known by history as a man who got so many of his people killed, only accomplished nothing. If he wins, he will be remembered as a great leader of our time. But everyone knows he cannot win. If the support was coming, it would have been here by now. It's just platitudes and words. Now he'll be known as the man who refused to accept peace while not going to the trenches and fighting himself. Ape Dog, he was trying to raise attention to Putin, not honoring a ceasefire deal in the past. Trump didn't want to hear him out. Yep, because Trump is a new administration that was telling him, you leave that to me. You sign a document, you sign it now, and I will put US interests on the ground between you and Putin. And then that conversation will be between me and Putin, not you and Putin, because now you're fucking with US interests. Yep. The other thing is that if a ceasefire were to occur, the amount of false flags that can occur are astronomical. Mate, it would be, that's worth putting up here. That's a great question. That's a great statement, sorry. Man, you also can't trust Ukrainians. If you want bad guys in a James Bond movie as actors, you go to Ukraine to get those guys off the street. They don't have to be actors. They're already there walking around. You don't think they're not going to be doing reprisal attacks on Russians for the next 100 years if you don't put people between the two parties? Absolutely. Be safe, be well. Got to go. Have a great night. Or someone's got these Kentucky Seal Northern Territory port mofos. Sticky situation on all ends. Mesa, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. But we have to give those poor guys that are in the trenches at least a microphone to say, what do you want your president to do? Do you want to keep fighting? Because we know with World War I, what happened with the Treaty of Versailles is the soldiers wanted to keep fighting. The politicians were sued for peace, and then that ultimately caused a rush of anger from those that thought they could still win. And then World War II happened as a result. Jason Clark, Zelensky would come to a peace agreement pronto if he was the one doing the dying and killing. Absolutely. Great point. And that goes for all politicians, doesn't it? Now, look how UK played with Australian lives, in World War I and II. Australians get the victories, once they've got Australian commanders. I know you don't necessarily want to come and talk about politics all the time, team, but I let this one for a couple of days to sit and ferment because I thought it was important that we didn't just jump in there with emotions and we actually watched what was going on. And I'm glad I did. Yep. Again, this was said by Trump. Trump says security guarantees will actually be enforced by Americans working on the land. Nobody's going to be messing around with our people while we're there. True. And there's probably going to be American forces protecting them. Where will they get them from? I don't know. Will it be the east of the Dnipro? It'd have to be, wouldn't it? Or the west? Okay, again, this was meant to be a remote deal for $500 billion, which would ultimately create an organic ceasefire. One person shot this out of the water, and that is Zelensky. Yeah. Yeah. Man, I like hearing what you guys have got to say. And you know what? You don't have to agree with me, but I believe it's common sense, not emotion. It's not easy to support what Trump does, but I do because I've had so many bad leaders, whether it be the countries or whether it be seeing the countries abroad that cause this shit. And when I see someone that absolutely loves their country, how can you not be a fan of it? How can you not be a fan of it? Hey. Okay, this had a bit of a glitch there for a second. Okay, Rusty Candy Adventures. Kaz, I disagree. If you're a soldier and use 500 public-owned bullets, we did not come back to you and say you had to sign off half your house for the enemy to come take your house. Right? Kaz, I disagree. If you're a soldier and use 500 public-owned bullets, we do not come back to you and say you had to sign off half your house. Look, you got to remember something, Randy. I don't know if you've done your research on this one, but they have to pay back every motherfucking cent, every single cent to England, to France, to Germany, to all of the European nations money. They've said you're going to give it back, and guess what? With interest. Biden was a corrupt president. He went in there, and a lot of that money didn't even go to the soldiers on the ground. They're not getting the bullets. They're not getting the equipment. They're not getting the men. He can't even tell you where the money went. I bet it went in his pocket, but a lot of it, allegedly. All they're saying is come and let us work there, which ultimately is a fantastic thing. It's like having your big brother, who's a tough motherfucker, walking around beside you so the bully leaves you alone. Right? But at the same time, he's just going, well, we're going to do the work. We're the ones that are going to get it out of the ground for you. Trump needs to clean up in California. He is, Scotty. Remember, he also opened up all the waterways to give excess water to California that for years has been getting held back and dammed. In recent times, Trump has been closer to a bullet than Zelensky has. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've got to tell you, as being a soldier on the ground so many times, there is nothing worse than when you're in an area where you know there's no chance of winning. Mate, I hear people use the word all the time. What's it called? Shit. I just had a Biden moment of my own. The genocide. We hear that word. Well, I've been at a genocide. And now I'm seeing the victims of the genocidal acts. And now the perpetrators. It's crazy to watch. And what that means is not when you do targeted, military operations across a nation, getting rid of all foreign fighters or getting rid of all of their fighting age males that are fighting back with you. It's when you target everyone. And that's what's happening in the Central Republic of Congo. And it doesn't even make the news. It does news. We're all looking over at what's happened between, Russia and Ukraine, but ignoring what's happening in other places of the world that are actually doing worse. Corporal gets respect to Build 1000. Have you already covered Albanese's position? Look, I don't think we're ever going to know what Albanese's position is, and we're leading up to an election at the moment. I'd just like him to say, USA is a strong ally of ours. They've always been an ally of ours. Donald Trump, go easy on aluminium. Don't put tariffs on us. We're here to support you. Our waterways for your trade is worth shitloads more than just our alliance with you. Zelensky has stated that all the money can be accounted for unless I've missed something. Do you believe him? Do you honestly believe that? This is a guy that has state-run media. He's also not allowing elections. He's also conscripting his forces and getting them dragged by their hair into the barbershop and then into the battlefield unless they have bureaucratic and people of influence who then get to work on the and bribe people to be on the Polish border instead of fighting on the Eastern Front in Ukraine. I don't believe anything from this guy. Nothing. But I don't like Putin either. Prisoners of Japanese got fruit and locals, they did not ask for money back. They did it for kindness. Prisoners of Japanese got fruit. Yeah, and guess what happened? If they got caught doing it, they got killed. In the paper today, he said he would follow UK, and UK said they will back Ukraine to the end. They haven't backed them yet. They're telling them what to do. They haven't backed them. Yeah. There's not British troops on the ground fighting over there as part of NATO forces or the UK pulling out of NATO and saying, no, this is big enough. We're going to go over and fight for this country we can't find on a map and get nothing in return. That's not happening. That's what Australia did. Australia went over, and lost 100,000 men across Belgium, across the Dardanelles, through France, all of these different countries. And we weren't doing it for money. We just did it because it was the right thing to do. I get it. I just do not understand, Rusty, why people are angry at the only man who's trying to get peace. That does not make sense. That does not make sense. This has cost the taxpayer of America, who's having all sorts of problems with California, with the different areas and their natural disasters, not to mention the mess that they've got in their inner sanctuary cities, and the southern border. That money could have cleaned up all of these messes. But instead, they took the taxpayers' money and they gave it to other countries, not their own, and then gave $750 checks to those from California. Not to mention Luana, and that's just been mystery. That's been history hold. What happened in Hawaii. Brady is saying, Rusty, US soldiers were haunted or hunted to pay back for the equipment left behind from the bug out in Afghanistan. Okay. And it's all proxy. Yeah. It's Arrow, you're right. A lot of the actual things is sort of like disingenuous when you actually say that we gave this much money to Ukraine in some of the ways, because like for Australia, the equipment, etc., we're sending them not our state-of-the-art shit, which is to protect ourselves from the red corn chip in the future, etc. It's normally from war stocks you know, and then a value is put to that, and then it's we gave this much in hardware, material, etc. Yeah. Winston, that's a fantastic name. Winston Smith. Zelensky got the smack bottom he deserved. Well done, Trump and JD. I don't think I've ever seen a a president and his vice president, both individually very powerful men, back each other up the way they did. And the only reason that angry moment happened was because the deal was already agreed. The deal was already shook on. Zelensky had no problem with it until he got in that room and someone said, "Where's your suit?" You know, for dressing in that fucking, what do we call it? Army disposal store tracksuit. Right. If he gets the job done, good. But the problem is, Donald Trump has said to him now, "You need us. We don't fucking need you." You know, and if you want to come in this office and be rude, you know, which you did, you came in to try and create a narrative, understanding that I've still got to speak to Putin. It was like he didn't want there to be a ceasefire, like he was trying to blow it out of the water himself. That's what it felt like. Yeah, sick in front of everyone's face. People go, "Oh, that person's not speaking politically." You go, "Okay, so you want a fat fuckwit to lie to you, behind your back and to your face, or you want to hear what happens?" Now, Donald Trump actually said, "I'm glad it happened out here because now the taxpayer is actually seeing what I'm dealing with." Am I the only one who thinks suits make politicians look corrupt and for the money over the people? Leo, I totally agree with you, mate. I totally agree with you. Who would ever wear a suit? You're only wearing it to project something, aren't you? You don't wear it for fashion. I mean, you don't wear it for comfort. Harry Voigt. G'day, Kaz. What's your opinion on Russia wanting all the Ukrainians to become Russian once again, as they say? Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that. And that's why I think the Dnipro, although it would give a great portion of Ukraine to Russia, imagine if you were told, righto, that you've now got a chance for 100 years or basically forever, and you have a choice. If you want to be Ukrainian, remember there's only 40 million Ukrainians, under 40 million Ukrainians in the second biggest landmass in Europe. So imagine if they said, if you want to stay as Ukrainian and you want to align with the West, get the fuck over the bridge and you get to go over on the west side of the Dnipro. If you want to be with Russia, you know, and be over there, then be on the eastern side of the Dnipro. And this becomes a border realignment by choice. Okay, what do we think? Because already there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have females that have voluntarily migrated to other countries and have probably got on with their lives with someone with a German accent, Polish accent, etc. You know, and they're not coming back. They're not coming back to the Ukraine, I'd imagine. Where else have they gone? They've gone to Poland. They've gone to Germany. And guess where else they've gone? OnlyFans. It's disgusting. Adam, I can see what you're saying, but when media is involved, people act differently. Yep. Especially remembering that Zelensky was he was an actor, a comedian. Yeah. So that's why he fits in so well with Hollywood. The war didn't start 4 years ago. It started nearly a decade ago, 2014, when they took Crimea. I know. When Ukraine started shelling the east part of the country, home to ethnic Russians, and banned them from speaking Russian. Yeah, it went back both ways, absolutely. They also cut the water off to Crimea. Expert badass. I long for the year where we have no more brother wars. Do we think it's possible? Absolutely not. You can't even get a wife to fucking smile and kiss her husband these days, team. You can't get kids to get along in the back seat of the new Santa Fe car of the year, Kia. You know, doesn't happen. No, sorry, Hyundai, car of the year. Harry Voigt, do we know much of the Ukrainian land Russia wants to agree to peace? Well, I think the only thing you can do is go to the Dnipro River, because the Donbas regions, there's not a definitive line that separates that area so you can keep claiming dumb. But it normally has to be a river. Zelensky dresses like that people as a show of support for his soldiers who gives a fuck what he wears. Yep. Yeah. And I learned that too. I didn't even know that. I thought he was just dressing like an idiot, pretending that he was one of the boys in the trenches, which he's never been. But Bucko actually was the one explained to me that this is his sign of this is who I am. I'll wear a suit when this is over. Trump needs to get to know his army and focus less on making his billions. Trump needs to get to know his army, and he does. He's given them, Pete Hegseth, a brand new military secretary, done a great job there. He's always loved his military, always. And as far as making billions, he's lost money since he started becoming a politician. I feel he's the only one that lost money. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. But like we say, the only person that's pursuing peace is Trump. And I don't understand why Zelensky's not. It's his people that are dying. He could have signed this paperwork a week ago. He didn't. People are dead because he didn't. And at the moment, all we need is for him to come back, sign the paper, drop the ego, and both guys, let's get this done. And then a stern conversation with Putin and let him know, prove Zelensky wrong. Don't break the treaty. Let's have peace. Let's give you an off-ramp. Let's have an off-ramp where people stop dying. That's what you said before you got into position, Trump. Prove it, that this is about the people. The punished rat, I can't get over that. You can't beat that name. It's one of those catch-22s. You just got to do what's good for the people. Absolutely. I totally agree. Yep, I totally agree. Ape Dog says, maybe if Putin got half of the Ukraine now, he would think he can have the rest later. I don't think so. No, I don't think that's the case. I think he knows now that he couldn't take it if he tried, mate. Yep. When you're speaking to the most powerful man in the world sitting in the Oval Office begging for billions, you'd think he could wear a suit. Yeah, I don't agree with his play either. He should be wearing clothes, giving dignitary. George Washington even wore a suit when he went to battle. What is Russia doing? What are they giving up? They're winning, Bucko. They can't lose this other than the people. Nothing. That's what Trump is not putting pressure on Russia. You don't know that. You don't know that. That conversation was going to happen as soon as that was meant to be a photo op only, just a photo op. All the deals had been done a week earlier. Zelensky refused to do it, which would have saved lives in his own country, and done it remotely. Instead, he wanted to make it a visual thing, and then he turns up with photos of soldiers, and just dragged it out, and it turned into bullshit. He should have been there to try and support his men more. Support Zelensky for more death, says Adam. Some soldiers, the European leadership closing ranks to prolong this conflict while lecturing everyone is just mind-blowing. Absolutely. Best comment, Summer Soldier. We've seen now Zelensky doesn't want a ceasefire. He even said his own words, I'm not pursuing a ceasefire. He said that in the Oval Office. I don't get it. Europe, wants this to keep going. I don't understand it. How much longer will this war be dragged out, in your opinion? It won't be there until, I believe, until Zelensky realizes that he cannot win this. NATO is not coming. If NATO came to the party under Article 5, which they're not going to, because they're not part of NATO, Ukraine that is, then this would be over very, very quickly and be really, really bad for Russia. And that would be playing the game of World War III, because there'd be larger arsenal being used, if you know what I'm talking about. They're not committing their troops. They're just talking from a distance, doing the bare minimum to keep this going. It's incredible. He said Putin keeps breaking ceasefires. There was a ceasefire in 2019. How'd that go? Doesn't matter, Buckaroo, you're wrong on this one. There hasn't been any ceasefires broken under Trump. And that's what Trump is saying. You are not even giving peace a chance, not even giving it a chance. He's going, I am different to Biden. You know that Biden was not in charge. The deep state was in charge until Trump got in. Now, what we're saying earlier, Bucko, is if Trump goes into power and has that conversation, and then Putin breaks that, and this is where it goes really bad, is if Trump gets that, was like it was meant to a week ago, get the ceasefire deal with the minerals signature from Zelensky for repatriation of dollars that have already been given to them, etc. And then he got off that and then spoke to Putin, and Putin said, yes, I agree with all that ceasefire. And then Putin breaks that ceasefire. His problem's now no longer with Zelensky. His problem is now with the USA. And that's where the assurance comes from, mate. Could this be prolonging of the war simply to try and deplete Russian reserves? It won't. I don't think it's doing a good enough job. While increasing Russia's reliance on China, well, what it's done is force Russia and China to be closer, and it's caused also for the BRICS agreement, the second parallel economy, to start getting built. So whatever they're trying, it ain't working. Might be a bit schizo of an assumption, though. Yeah, it's scary. And look, weird things happen. You know, with wars, people make big money, real big money. This is, once again, I'll say this one more time. Where are we? What do I have? Here it is. Bam. Trump is the only world leader that is saying this, and you're angry at him. Most importantly, by far, we're going to make a deal with Russia and Ukraine to stop the killing. How can anyone be angry with Donald Trump? I'd be fucking angry too if you're getting in the way of me stopping people dying. Zelensky is getting in the way and stopping people from living, his own people, refusing peace, scuttlebugging agreements that have already been made, flew across the world to come over just to fuck a meeting up. Now, I don't know if that was by deliberate or whether that was after the response of not liking being asked about, why don't you have a suit? I don't know. But we do know one thing. People are dead now because this meeting happened, you know, and it's not about necessarily even blaming people. It is just a goddamn tragedy. Assuming, well, you've got to give it a go, don't you? You can't just use, but he's broken deals in the past. You know, so never go for peace. What do? Just keep dying? That doesn't make sense. Why doesn't Trump make Ukraine a state of America? Well, that would be, yeah, I'm not sure. That's a smart comment. They're not going to get accepted into NATO. They're not allowed to be accepted into NATO. The NATO writings are that you can't accept a country that's currently in a conflict other than a civil war. Harry, both Russians and Ukrainians say they have killed, raped, and still target civilians on both sides. Yep. Do you think this is part of war? And this is what happens when two countries don't have a signatories to the Geneva Convention that are fighting each other. Ukraine is fighting for their very survival. You know, when you're fighting for your own homeland, you're not worrying about rules anymore. You know? Nobody trusts USA anymore. I do. They are pumping Ukraine in the arse. Europe is standing up. No, Europe's doing nothing, hasn't done anything from the start. You know, all they've done is keep putting the mouth guard into them while they're getting flogged, telling them you're good to go. Yeah. Every cent that they've ever given them, Bucko, they've said is coming back with interest, with money. Yep, they haven't given them forces. They've trained them and told them to get back out there, keep fighting. America, you know, at the moment has said to them, this is the plan, and no one has a better plan. What is the better plan? You know, Albo's announcement for further support is just tone deaf. The only man trying to find a solution is Trump. I'll listen to anyone with a solution. I won't listen to anyone. Zelensky needs the funds for more weaponry. Yep. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have the manpower again. He's got less than 40 million people in his country. A quarter of those have left, you know, by choice. You know, the people that are going to fight now don't want to fight, which is the reason why they're being conscripted by force. There's no other elections are allowed to happen, and he won't step down. His media is also state controlled, so you don't see what's really happening there. Winston Smith, remember last year when the media told us Ukraine was winning the war? Yep. And then they went on an offensive and didn't take any land. It is a tragedy. It absolutely is. Will Australia become part of a coalition of the willing? I hope not. I hope not. I think that a good solution for this would be that those that choose to stay with Russia, and there's a lot of them there, stay on the east coast of the Dnipro, and those that want to be Ukrainian and Western, go on the west side. Because that's the only standout line I can see, Buck, that you could look at and say, well, that makes sense, that becomes a new border. Anything other than that, people can go, I didn't realise. It was an imaginary line between Queensland and New South Wales sort of thing. Australia, unless they go over there as a peacekeeping or peacemaking, and it'd be more peacekeeping, to support the rebuilding of the Ukraine, I wouldn't want Australian soldiers over there fighting. Yeah, another European graveyard that we've never really, ever had anyone come and support us other than the USA. And even that was sort of loosely looking after us, or did the USA come to protect their waterways? Yeah, and the expansion of the Japanese. It's an interesting subject, team, and it's important to have a view on things, and you've got to be prepared to have that robust conversation like Zelensky and Trump have inside that room. But you've got to know, too, that when you go into a predicament where you want something, go in humble. All of those conversations could have happened still, outside, and I'm sure they did, and it went off the rails when he tried to bring it up again in front of the media. I think it was a jack move, I believe, a jack move. And again, I'm more for Ukraine than what I am for Russia, but I'm mostly for the soldiers in the trenches, and I'd love to know what their opinions are. I'd really love to know whether they want to keep fighting or not. Because I don't care about people in air-conditioned office with fountain pens and big checks, that are eating olives, pretending to love their country. I don't. Anyway, appreciate you tonight, team. Again, call out tonight to all of the soldiers that have ever served, ex-serving, currently serving, future serving. You don't get a voice, but you do have plenty of action, right? So that's where my heart is, and for their mothers as well. The other one is for Stevie Bryce, who's fighting for his life at the moment in a hospital bed in Western Australia. Mate, if you're out there and the angels are watching you, I hope you get a chance to hug your son Liam properly and respect the fact that that young kid has really, really stood up. I love the dude. I don't know him. Also, for Stratty, losing his dad, an unfortunate way to go, and he's chose to keep fighting on and keep up with his training. So I'll be there for any of those guys. If you need more, team, bam, okay, jump on the bat phone. And I appreciate you for having a view, because you can either choose fight, you can choose flight from the conversation, but don't choose freeze. And when you have a conversation, sometimes it's best to not be the first one to bring out the story. I'm not talking about you, Buck. I'm talking about, I nearly spoke about this when it instantly happened, and then I thought I'd better go and do some homework first. So unless you just want me to keep talking, because at the end of the day, what are you going to do now? Go and watch Married at First Sight? Maybe Survivor? I don't know. Do you have any questions, team? We respect anything you ask. Mr. Buckery, lack of trust in the US is due to the political schizophrenia. Reckon it's a shit fight. And remember, there's billions and billions of dollars being spent on anti-Trump propaganda in Australia, in the US, in the UK, and across Europe. If the war ended today, how does Ukraine rebuild? Unfortunately, Landy, that would probably be a BlackRock deal that would probably be worth trillions. Who pays for it? I'm sure there'll be reparations from Russia. I'm sure that the money that is spent, I believe, could possibly come from NATO, including the US. Who knows? Who knows? But there'll be some dodgy deals there, I tell you that, dudes. You'd want to be a a contract worker working over there on NATO dollars, UN dollars, because no one's ever going to come and inspect the building. You can say you built it. You're going to get the money. There's going to be 1,000 different companies working at once. Mate, Trump went golfing and Vance went skiing. Zelensky went to Europe to keep fighting for his country. What do you want? What do you want Trump to do? Fix a bayonet? It wasn't his fight. When was this? When did that happen, Bucko? Was that recent or? Summer Soldier. They just want to fill the place with PMCs and construction, making it so confusing. Nobody knows who exactly. You're going to see, look at the smoke shops in Australia, what's happening there. Imagine what's going to happen with the building companies full of gypsies and untrade qualified workers in the Ukraine. It's going to be insane. American war was and always is about their own self-interest. America first. No problem with that. I wish our country did that. So do I, Winston. So do I. Cheers, Kaz. Thanks for the lads in the military and on the way. Ed B. Got your message, mate. We'll get to you soon. Ed B. Mate, all I want to do, remember Mr. Buckaroonie too? Ed, all I want to do is have a Zoom session with you and catch up with my US second family. Mate, I fully support America, loving America. You've got a lot of problems in America, and I'd love to see you working on those problems. Become the best version, become the blue ribbon country again that we used to see winning Olympics, always being happy, beautiful girls, summer, California kissed lasses wearing not much, but also not swearing and wearing bike pants. Say good day to Chantel, okay, and the puppies, and Ed B Jr. is always on here too, mate. All the best to your brothers. I hope all is well on Smoko trying to eat between wind gusts. The Scotties just hit his foot with a sledgehammer. Team, that's out of control. Speaking of kissing holes at him, what about Vance, Hegseth, and Rubio? They get paid to get Trump's ego blown up. It's sickening. Okay, Bucko, you've now become a fanatic, I think. Relax. They're putting their country back into the first place. Expert badass. Kaz, mate, do you reckon it would be better for Australia, maybe even the world, if all politicians had to serve before they went into politics? Well, they did used to, expert. They did used to pretty much. And I'm not talking about like from the times of Rome onwards, but Bucko would be able to tell you, and so would Dwayne, some of the older blokes like myself, that when we grew up, that the politicians were always normally the sons or the grandsons of, and everyone at school teachers, scout leaders, all of this shit before the internet, almost everyone was a direct relative or a veteran themselves from either World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Malaysia, etc. So that was when there was a real sense of if a kid's doing something wrong, he gets slapped in the side of the head. If Bucko told you what it was like for his father as a cop, as opposed to the end of Bucko's career and the lack of ability a policeman had to rectify bad behaviour, mate, you'd choke on your lollipop at a Mardi Gras, especially if you sat on it. Now, Bucko, how hard was it for you to keep your cool with bad behaviour as a cop? Didn't that make you end up going to the prison system instead? And he didn't get arrested. He actually went over there and became a prison guard. He is the servant of the empire. My dad told me he remembers you from when he was in 1RR back in early 2000s, and you were this scary and fit 2RR guy. Unknown heathen. I wouldn't say I was scary, but I was definitely goddamn fit. And I loved 1RR as much as I loved 2-4 and 2RR. Mr. Bucker, do you have Trump derangement syndrome or are a wokey? No, he's not a wokey. Mr. Buckaroonie. No, I didn't, Kaz. I crossed the line many times. Hey, there's a video, Bucko, I can't show you today. I saw it on the Hodge twins, and it showed you a guy go over holding his little boy's hand, who was about 5 years old, and confronted the bully of his little boy. And she was about a 12-year-old girl, and he went over and said to her, as a father, doing the right thing, where all the ladies and all that were around, he went over and said, "You've been bullying my son. that is to stop now. And she just went, yeah, bye-bye, and then started hassling his son again. He smacked her flying. Even though that was a grown man that hit a 12-year-old girl, I bet she learned a lot that day. The one thing, sadly, people say violence is not the answer. Mr. Buckaroony will tell you that's bullshit. Humans only respect violence. That's the sad truth of it. It's a sad truth. Why do you think females are the first ones to throw hands when they emotionally lose it, and then they completely gaslight you that it's toxic masculinity when a man raises his voice? Bucko would be able to tell you that when a female loses their shit, they become goddamn scary, really scary. There is no rules of engagement. Okay, they try to kill. How do you get away with that in Australia? You don't necessarily get away with it. If you give someone a smack and it's the right thing to do, you've just got to be prepared to go and do a fade with the father. If they have one, you'll be prepared to be able to fight any bloke. Just remember that lass that came from England, 19 years old. I might do a video on it if you want and call it Rules of Engagement Lesson 101. When the Lions won the grand final, she went past, he waved the flag. She followed him, punched him in the face. He turned around, punched her once. And then the whole media apparatus in Australia said, we're hunting for a bully, for a thug who bashed a woman. You're going, I'm telling you now, you hit a guy, he's allowed to hit you back. Absolutely. And that doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. Do I hit girls? No. Have I been hit by girls? Yes. Do I deserve it? Half the time. Equal rights, equal lefts. Yep. We're living in a time now where everyone claims to be nice, righteous, tolerant, and we are far from above. And I can tell you right now, when I walk through the train station, through the Bronx, and I say good day to people, I never know what's going to happen that day. That's why I always do a bit of a pump before I go over there. A couple of days ago, had an Islamic bloke, had a conversation with him because I was scaring the shit out of people. I didn't go over there angry. And we had a really, really good conversation, but we only got into a moment where we'll get along well when he basically was trying to give me a soft conversion and talked to me. He basically said, for example, Islam is a very peaceful religion. I disagreed. And he basically said, so like I could hurt you now. My response to that is, you can try, mate. You can try. And that's when he realized that his words had effect, that I wasn't backing down. I'm a soldier of my God. He can have his God. You can have your God, no matter what it is, but you got to stand up for what you believe. You do. And that is for what Bucko would probably call justice, the right thing. Now, Bucko's what? Bucko's been a soldier. He's been a cop. He's been a prison guard. And now he raises money for animal shelters. If anyone's got a reason to be a dick, it would be someone who's been a soldier, a copper, and a prison guard. No, he loves animals. And I tell you what, if you ask Bucko, does he prefer dogs, or animals or people? I don't think he'd be saying people. He's seeing the worst of those. Bucko, are people predominantly good or are they predominantly bad? If they're predominantly good, why do we have to have laws to tell us how to do the right thing? And it doesn't come natural. Love Sharma, g'day mate. How you going, lovey? I bet we all get cared for each other. Yeah, I wish we all did, mate. Everyone in southeast Queensland, stay safe, guys. Absolutely. Yep, that storm could be coming, and I really hope that everyone gets hit. I know one guy who's a personal friend has let me know today he's scared because the Australian way of life is getting so goddamn expensive that he's let his insurance slip. So let's just hope that it leaves his house alone. And for anyone out there, don't judge people too quickly when they don't have insurance, when you find out the cost of owning a house. You've got one thing, Kaz, and I hate Trump and JD Vance. And I hate Trump and JD Vance. That's okay, but you love dogs. We'll forgive you. All right, team. You guys take it easy, stand up for things, and have an opinion. Have an opinion. Study it. If someone has a far-out opinion, don't be afraid to say, what made you come to that? That doesn't really make sense. Can you let me know how you came to that? And then you realise very quickly, if they only know something paper thin, emotionally thin, righto, Gotcha. You didn't know what you were talking about. You're acting on emotion. Okay, team, take it easy. You know, great to see some pushback. Love and respect for you. And let me say, before we get out of here, and this can be for all of those, including conscripted soldiers that are from Russia as well, for all those guys that are reluctantly on a battlefield fighting their cousins, they shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. And at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget. The children of leaders that don't seem to be leading. Right. Get your suit ready. It's Anzac Day next month. History's going to keep rhyming, sadly. See you later, team. Take it easy and all the best to your families. You only get this day once, and there's somewhere in the world that's jealous of what you've got. So don't be jealous of those that have got more than you. All right, team. Take it easy. I hope you all have a nightmare. And remember, 1 in 10 of you, have got the ghost of Hillary Clinton topless under your beds right now. See you later. Take it easy. Hey, Michael. Harry Voigt, lest we forget.